Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Trunkies. Wanted to make a guide with everything I know about Heihachi. Make sure to like and subscribe so I can share more of my knowledge about Tekken 8. Firstly, I want to talk about Heihachi's core moves. These are going to be the moves that you're using the most and that are his most effective tools. These are going to be his jab, his down forward 1, his forward 4, his back 4, his electric, and his forward 1+2. Now I'm gonna go over each of these moves in depth. First up would be his jab. Honestly, he has one of the best jabs in the game. Not only does it wall splat, he can also go into 1 back 2, which is only -2 on block, and it can allow him to go into his stance. He can also go into 4, which is a pretty slow but +5 mid. They can definitely float you out of that, so be careful. He can do 1 back 2 and it's a full counter hit string that leaves you +6 on hit. Regarding his stance, I'll get into that more a bit later. I want to talk about a few other moves first. Next up would be his down forward 1. Also amazing, tracks pretty well, and he has a few options from his down forward 1. He can press down forward 1-1, which is only -2, but it is a high, so they can duck it. He can also do down forward 1-2, which is -13 on hit, and it's a mid, but he can charge it and make it safe. The opponent can step it if they have good reactions, but a lot of players aren't going to sidestep this, so you can kind of just spam it all day. His down forward 1 is a great mid check. All of this mental pressure of having down forward 1-2, which is safe, down forward 1-1, which will track if they try to step. Next up is his forward 4. Personally, my favorite move he has. It leaves him +4 on block, which allows him to get some good frame traps, such as down forward 1, back 3. If they're at the wall and they try to press, you can do down forward 4, which will wall splat them. And you can also go into his stance again, which I will get into a bit later, but for now I'm just going to leave it at that. You can go into stance from forward 4 by holding down. And if they are crouching, forward 4 will be +15, which means you can do a few things from it. You can do down forward 1-2 guaranteed. Again, down forward 4-2, which wall splats. If you go into stance, you can actually press 2 and get a guaranteed launch on them. The most optimal follow-up from neutral would be his down forward 3 string, which also has a blue spark version by pressing quarter circle forward 1. Or it would be back 1-4, which if they try to get up too quick, you can do death fist. Next up is his back 4. His back 4 has great range, -7 at tip range, -8 when you're up in their face. It is also a very damaging counter hit launcher, which can lead to their health bar pretty much being depleted. Heihachi has some of the best damage in the game, so you want to fish for that back 4 a lot. You also want to get good at his electric. Probably his best move, probably every Mishima's best move. +5. It's a launcher, and you want to get good at being able to sidestep into it. You want to be able to get good at whiff punishing with it, and you want to be able to do consecutive ones for his max damage combos. So definitely practice on his electrics until you get good at them. Next, I want to talk a bit more about his stance. Regarding Heihachi's stances, he has 2 different stances. The first one is his Win God stance, which is gone into by either pressing down 1+2, or after certain moves you can hold down to go into it. His other stance is his Thunder God stance, which is done by pressing forward 3+4, or by holding forward after certain attacks. I want to note that his Heat Smash automatically goes into the Thunder God stance. Now, the more important stance, his Wind God stance, you're going to be using this a lot. It's part of his main core game plan. You have to learn how to stance cancel with Heihachi. To stance cancel with him, you press down forward and then back right away. And this actually makes it so that a move like 3-2, which is -13, if you go into stance and cancel it, it actually becomes safer. It becomes about -10. This is important because forward 3 and 3-2 are 2 of your main tools for long range pokes, especially against characters that have AOP like Zafina and Xiao Yu. You're going to be using these moves a lot, so you want to always go into them and stance cancel to make them safer. They still can jab you, but here's where the mix-up comes in. You can go into stance, press 2, and you high crush their jab. So now they're guessing whether you're going to stance cancel or whether you're going to go into a high crushing launcher. You also, of course, have power crush and other tools from stance to mix in as well. This is really good because you can start cycling things like 1 back 2 in a stance cancel, forward 4 in a stance cancel. Now from his stance, he has a lot of great options. He can press 2 for a mid launcher that's only -10 on block. Do 1+2, which is a tracking power crush. He can either grab you if you try to step. He can do 4, which is a low. It is -14, so it's a bit more risky. So personally, I like to either just go for 2 if I think they're going to jab because it high crushes, or if I think they're going to duck. And then if not, I'll go for the grab if they try to step or if they just stand there. You can just play a lot of mind games with your opponent. Keep them constantly guessing, constantly overloaded with information about what you're doing. The only time you're really going to go to his Thunder God stance out of doing a Heat Smash, which takes you into it automatically, is from charge back 2. This is a decent move to throw out in neutral if your opponent is respecting you a bit too much because it puts you into a true 50-50. With his other moves like sidestep 2 that goes in the stance, they can just poke you out of it. If they jab, you can do 1, which is a bit risky because it's -11, but it also high crushes. Any other option that you do, it's going to get beat by a jab. But you do have 1 in case they jab that can high crush it. Some other notable moves, forward 3. It has a great range and it can also go into stance. So yeah, again, if you think they're going to press, you can interrupt them, or you can just stance cancel in their face. On hit, you can go into stance and do 1-1, which is guaranteed heat engager. He also has up 1 as his power crush, -13, and it wall splats, and it has tremendous range. Oh, just barely whiffed right there. This is honestly one of the best power crushes in the game. It is kind of it's kind of linear, but it also kind of tracks very weirdly. Do not be afraid to throw this out. It'll catch them stepping pretty frequently. Heihachi's main lows are his hell sweep, his down back 3, and his down back 2. His down back 2 is launch punishable, but it also does have great range. So throw this out very rarely. You can catch them off guard from mid-range with it. But other than that, you want to mainly go for down back 3 as a poke. It is -13, so again, a bit more risky. And it is only -2 on hit. So you only really want to throw this out is you're trying to get the last hit on them. They just have a little bit more health. Or if you just want to annoy them. This low can be a little annoying. And you can sidestep after it. That's all you can do since it's minus. His main low you want to go for is his hell sweep. His hell sweep is pretty good because it is +8 on hit, and on counter hit, you do launch. Great frame trap for back 4, since back 4 is 18 frames. If they try to press, they'll get clipped. And you can pretty much press whatever you want after this. You know, being +8, they can't really do much. He gets a 50-50 after his hell sweep. He can do a low launcher, or he can do a mid. So you can keep them guessing after the first hit if you like. And you can actually pick up from the launcher by doing electric, or you can pick it up by going into the full string and then pressing 1 at the end. Also want to mention that the second hit of the hell sweep is only -10, so it's very low risk. The only way they can punish it is with a crouch jab. Almost forgot to mention his hell sweep into 3. It is a +9 high, so they can duck it, but this is also great for pressuring your opponent. His main tracking moves are back 3 and up forward 4. Up forward 4 has a lot more range than back 3, but it is -9. Back 3 is also -9. But you can do a follow-up, which is a high that's -1 and counter hit launches. Or you can do a mid that's -12 if you think they're going to duck the high. In Heat, up forward 4 does have an extension, but I'll get to that in a bit. A couple other moves he has forward 3, which is a safe launcher. It's only -3. Pretty good tool, but people aren't really gonna duck too often against Heihachi, so his lows are kind of whack. He also has forward 2, which is -16, but it has a lot of pushback. So if your opponent's not punishing this, feel free to throw it out. It's got great range. It can be a good whiff punish, and it also does have a frame where it high crushes, so you can go under some stuff with it. So if your opponent's not punishing it, make sure to throw that out. I want to get into his heat now a bit. His main heat engager is forward 1+2. It's 13 frames, it's -8, has decent tracking. He also has up forward 2-1 as a heat engager. It is -11, so it's not as safe as forward 1+2, but it does have good range. Forward 1+2 and up forward 2-1, they both launch in heat, so they are really strong heat tools. This other good heat engager is back 1+2. It is a parry. It parries most mids and highs and brings them into heat. Next, regarding his heat smash is actually pretty unique because it's got 2 different versions. The first version, floor breaks. If they try to quick stand, you can do a death fist after. And the second version is a wall splatting version done by holding forward. And this allows you to get pretty good damage. It also does wall splat from pretty far away. About this range, you walk him all the way to the wall. For the optimal combo, you can do forward 2, 1+2 into his down forward 3 string. Be careful when you're throwing out his heat smash. It is pretty linear, so if they step just a little bit and you throw it out, it will whiff. But other than that, make sure to use it while they're at the wall so you can get that wall splat for big damage. Another thing about his heat smash is when they block it, it actually brings him into his Thunder God stance for a 50-50. You can press 1 to do a wall splatting but unsafe -11 mid. You can press 3 to do a safe mid. Or you can mix it up. You can press 2 for a guard break, which allows you to get a jab string after. Or you can do my favorite, which is the grab, by just pressing 1+3. Does good damage, and then when you're at the wall and you do this grab, you actually get really good Oki. If they quick stand, you can get a death fist, and if they do anything, pretty much anything other than quick stand, you can actually land a down back 3 after the grab. So make sure to mix those up. A good strategy for this is either going for 1 right away or going for the grab right away. A true 50-50, they just have to guess. You can also go into it and not go into the stance by holding back, or you can go into the stance and then cancel. I like to go into the stance and then cancel just to see what their reaction is. If I notice that every time they just stand there, of course I'm going to go for the grab. It's quick, you know, they can't react to it. Make sure to keep mixing up the mid and the grab. That's my best advice for that. I like to go for the grab instead of the guard break because it does just about the same amount of damage. And it's harder for them to fuzzy duck it because it is a bit faster. Also in Heat, Heihachi's got up forward 4-1, which does good damage, wall splats. And on block, it is actually +2 so great for added pressure. He also has down 3 1+2, also great chip damage, great range on that string. These are best used at the wall for Oki. After a combo, you end with 1+2, and then the up forward 4-1 string covers a lot of their options on wake up. And then if they're at the wall and they decide to just lay there because they want to avoid the Oki, you can also do the down 3-2. Both of these strings on block are safe. The up forward 4 string is +2 and the down 3-2 string is 0. So overall great tools to throw out in the neutral. Also in heat, when he goes into his stance, it becomes an auto parry. Very useful to try to do things that are punishable in heat. Go into the stance, they try to punish it, they get caught by the parry. Another thing he has is when he goes into his Wind God stance, his grab gets a buff where he goes into his Thunder God stance. And so after the grab, you get another 50-50 pretty much. So you can grab them, do the grab, or you can do the mid from the Thunder God stance. You can even guard break them, go back into that stance, do the grab again, get another 50-50. So make sure to try to fish for that when you're in heat. His main punishment tools are, of course, his 10-frame punish, 1-1-2. And his 12-frame punish, and pretty much the main punish you're going to use for anything 12-frame and above, is his forward 1+2, his headbutt. This is great because it allows you to go into anything that's 14 frames or slower. In neutral, you can do, again, the back 1-4 string and the death fist if they try to stand up. You can do down forward 4-2. So yeah, at the wall, you get a wall splat 12 frame. And in Warrior's Instinct, this actually becomes a launcher because you can do his down forward 2-1. To get Warrior Instinct, you need to pop heat 3 times during a match. And once you have all 3 stacks, you can press 1+4 to bring you in a Warrior Instinct. It only lasts for 1 round, so I like to save it until the very, very last round. And the main things about his Warrior Instinct is that a bunch of his moves become buffed. Again, he gets that 12-frame launcher. It makes his 1+2 more damaging, which is also a 12-frame move, and it is only -10 on block, so you can kind of just spam this move while you're in Warrior Instinct. It gives his forward 2 more range, insane range. It makes the first hit of his Hell Sweep not stagger and makes it -14. You can do your Hell Sweep mix-up even if they block it. It makes his Wind God 2 safe. And it makes his Thunder God 1 safe as well. So you can kind of freely throw these moves out. They can sidestep Wind God 2, which I forgot to mention earlier. But if they're not stepping it, feel free to throw this out whenever when you're in stance. So many people panic while he's in Warrior Instinct that people will get hit by this pretty often. And he also gets access to a new combo ender, which is 1 back 2-2. And in Warrior Instinct, it allows you to get a follow-up, and it takes away all of their recoverable health. So it's his main combo ender that you go for while you're in Warrior Instinct. Now, the core game plan for Heihachi, he's a really mid-heavy, stance-heavy, pressure-heavy character. He doesn't really have the best lows, so your main offense with him is going to be canceling these stances, committing to options from the stances, and keep your opponent guessing. Forward 4 is a great tool, +4. He has plenty of frame traps from it. Make sure with Heihachi you keep in mind the core moves, which again I'll remind you are his jab, his down forward 1, his forward 4, his back 4, and his electric. These are the main tools you're going to be using. You're going to be fishing for stance cancels, committing to options when you think you're going to press. You also have the grab and the low to mix it up. And really just pressure your opponent. Get them to fold. Work on your sidestep electrics. It's his best with punish. And remember you have good pokes like forward 3 that you can stance cancel from, and 3-2 as well. And the main game plan with Heihachi is just to keep poking and pressuring until you get an opening. You go for his lows occasionally. You don't really want to spam his lows since they are pretty committal. They have a risk to them. Hell sweep and down back 2 again are launch. So you want to throw these out rarely, but if they're not ducking too often, feel free to go for them. If they're not ducking at all, go for the launch on the hell sweep. Of course, you can hell sweep, frame trap, hell sweep, more plus frames, more plus frames. Anytime you get a combo with Heihachi, make sure you are popping heat because his heat can absolutely win you matches. And again, his Warrior Instinct, you need to pop heat 3 times. And Warrior Instinct can absolutely win you matches. So make sure you're always going into heat. You're getting the charges for Warrior Instinct. You're maximizing out on your damage, on your combo potential. And yeah, that about covers everything with Heihachi. Let me know if this guide helped you at all. This is my first guide that I've made, so I hope it's good. And let me know if you want more guides in the future, like an anti-Heihachi guide, Jin character guide, Clive guide, Kuma guide, whatever. Let me know if you guys want more of this. And take care.